What's up guys, Dylan here, and I'm gonna make this quick video. It's about trying not to be too smart in crypto. Don't be too smart for your own good. So before we get into it, smash that like button, hit subscribe, comment below, and let's get started. So what do I mean by trying to be too smart? Well, I mentioned before in other videos, it's all about trying to time the market, thinking that you know what's gonna happen in the future. And I think it's, especially since the past 5 months, were a bull market where, and it had been going up for longer than that, the whole crypto industry, and had caught a lot of mainstream traction. So if you had been in it, you think you're like, okay, I know it. I know how it's going to play out. And, there's so many people that did technical analysis. You can find the videos just like all over YouTube on just like, well, will this cycle be like the last cycle? Here's, if we compare the last cycle to this cycle, then this is what we should expect. And then all the people like drawing these triangles of, oh, Bitcoin's got to break out. Oh, we're at the bottom. Oh, all these things. And the one thing that was so consistent throughout this whole time so far is all it takes is one piece of news to break that's either for or against it, that can, depending on the sentiment, right? There's a lot of fear in the market now. So anything that's like somewhat fearful, right? Then it just feeds into that fear. But if people are being greedy, all it takes is like one piece of bullish news to be like, oh crap, I got to go buy more, right? So very easily can it sway. And so people can manipulate the markets for sure like that. I mean, there was great news with El Salvador coming out and being bullish, like saying they want to make it a legal tender, right? Which is really awesome when you think about that. And it could be pretty historic. So that's why I always say, I'm not a financial advisor, but go do your research, because it's pretty, like, there's so many cool things going on, and there's so many implications of this technology, blockchain, crypto, and all that, that you wanna understand. But don't be too smart, right? I read a Reddit thread that from 3 years ago, and people are hating on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is slow, Bitcoin is old, the technology is outdated, and every other, energy intensive, it's too, it's never gonna take off. There's better technology, there's better coins. And that's what the people were saying. And it's just like, okay, cool, right? This was 3 years ago. Let's see how it plays out. Well, now here we are today, and Bitcoin is still the most dominant coin in the market. And, people still like to say, oh, well, the technology, oh, it's outdated, oh, it's not good there. And perhaps they're right, but it doesn't seem like Bitcoin is competing on the same technical, with the same technical specs as other coins. So what happened in this thread is these people went out and they found altcoins during 2017, 2018, that they're like, oh my gosh, this technology is so much better. This is so cool. This coin's going to take over, right? And there's all that hype, all that mania around it. And so many of those coins that people were hyping up in the Reddit chat, telling others, right, with good faith, right, they're smart, so they're like, I'm not going to be in Bitcoin because Bitcoin's not as good. And with good faith, they were telling other people, hey, maybe you should check out these coins. And I don't even recognize any of those coins because I wasn't in the industry. Like, those coins are not the top coins at all right now. And it's like they legitimately believed it. And then some people were kind of salty because they got out of Bitcoin to go into the other coins, only have Bitcoin 2x, and all their altcoins not do anything. And then you have all these traders that try to trade Bitcoin, try to trade these markets, try to trade the volatility of this, and some of them make money and they do a good job. But if I'm making money as a trader, I'm not teaching other people how to do those same strategies. Like, I don't quite understand why a trader would do that. So if you are, let me know, but I don't know why you'd be if you're making enough money, you're a good enough trader, you don't need to make your money elsewhere. Why would you spend your time, outside of it? So I'm slightly confused. So it seems like they're just teaching you about trading, so you get involved, and, they're sharing their knowledge, sharing something that they're passionate about. I get that. But anyways, these traders try to time the market, and, the bigger the institution, the more inside information they have, the better they're going to be able to do it. But the everyday person is, it's tough. Like, you really got to be following this stuff. You really got to know your stuff. You got to know the news that's out, the news that might be coming out. You got to have a sense on the pulse of the whole market. You then also have to have a little bit of luck to try and trade these things. And so a lot of people try, and they trade the altcoins so they can acquire more Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, maybe they're slightly better off, but they're monetary, maybe they make a little bit more money than they would have had they just held in Bitcoin. A lot of the cases, people are like, man, if I would have just held my money in Bitcoin, then and just left it, not worried about it, I'd be much better off. Versus people that try to trade, and sometimes they're a little bit better off, but all that anxiety and all that time and all that stress that goes into being a successful trader, because you got to be on it, right? It's not just something that you can let sleep. The market is not sleeping; it's 24/7, and you got to be really disciplined and emotionally intelligent, right? To be able to make logical decisions, not emotional ones, in this type of environment, which is easier said than done. So, but you have to do all that just to make a little bit more than Bitcoin. So it's really a trade-off. So you got all these people that are trying to be too smart in the market. Then you have, I think what that leads to, right? Thinking you can try to find something that'll predict the future, thinking that you'll find the next big coin. But what happens is you start diluting your resources and diluting your time, and it makes it harder to focus on what's important. And then you start getting scattered and focusing on all these different things. And like, I'm guilty of this too. Right? That's what I'm talking about. I know from experience. So I'm just kind of like, just saying what's on my mind when I'm looking at this and reflecting on it. And you can agree or disagree. But then you can get sidetracked with all this other stuff and not pay attention to the important thing, or not put enough energy in that important thing, And then you have money sitting places, you have money sitting 10 places, you may even forget coins that it's in and all this kind of stuff. And then you get so fixated on the micro, all the daily events, the ups and downs, day in, day out. And, in the grand scheme of things, if you zoomed out, right, it's going to play out how it plays out. There's not much you can do, right, other than being an advocate of it or not. There's not much you can do. But the market's going to play out. The trajectory is going to play out how it's going to play out. And you can take a side on how you believe, and you can take, you can assess how much risk you want to take on, or how much risk is there. For some, like MicroStrategy, they just announced $400 million. They're raising $400 million worth of capital to buy more Bitcoin, right? To them, it seemed like they seem to be that's the side they've taken, right? They've chosen to do that and chosen to pursue that strategy with fully, like they're not just dipping their toe in, right? They're going all in. They're just, it's like the kid at the beach or at the swimming pool, you're like, is it cold? Or like the lake, and you're like at the edge of the dock, and you're touching, and they're just running up, cannonball, and they jump in and splash everyone. Right? That seems like what MicroStrategy is doing with this. Now, of course, they're more calculated and everything. They've mapped it all out, and they really believe in it. But the point is, you don't want to get too smart to where you're looking at every single little detail, and then your head's down and you're stuck in this. Like my dog, she's over here just licking her paws, Leilu. But when she's a hound, part hound, and so she's very, all dogs are very smell oriented. But when we're outside, there's times when she's visually focused, and there's times when she's scent focused. And when she gets scent focused, she's just, you've seen dogs, right? They're on the ground sniffing it, their heads back and forth, but they're not paying attention to what's around them. And sometimes they're so focused on the scent that they don't lift their head up to see that the object they're looking for that's creating that scent is like right in front of them. They can get there more quickly. But they're so focused on the micro details, right? Going left, right, back, forth, and all, trying to find it. And it works for them, right? But the point is when you do that on a day-to-day basis, you can lose sight of what you're really looking for, like the end goal, the big thing, the big picture. And I think with all these, the recent ups and downs and dips and like random Elon Musk tweets and all that kind of stuff, you can't predict any of that stuff. And it's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really going to make that big of an impact. At least that's my opinion. It's just noise. Most of this is just noise. Maybe there's some relevant details, like I think El Salvador announcing that they want to make Bitcoin a legal tender. I think that's something to pay attention to, right? That's bullish. Any type of big news about organizations. Kevin O'Leary talking about there's $1 trillion waiting to flood into Bitcoin if the companies can feel secure enough that they're not investing in a dirty product, one that's bad for the environment. So really, there's $1 trillion waiting to flow into this based upon how people feel, right? Because they don't have enough information on this. So there's so much out there. And that news, I'm like, okay, well, I want to pay attention to that. And how can I lay the groundwork? And maybe this stuff you can think about. How can you lay the groundwork to capitalize on that when that inevitably happens, right? When more and more, when those experiments play out. And if you believe in it, then you obviously will have a bias towards the positive, right? But if you don't, then obviously you have a bias towards the negative, to where it doesn't work out. And so you can take positions either way. But I guess kind of rambled on here, but let's just end it. So don't try to be too smart. HODL, right? Don't always try to find the next latest and greatest altcoin. I love that. I heard it first, I think, from Cryptos R Us, George over there. But so thanks, George. But he's always telling his viewers and listeners, just hodl, right? 50, 25, 25, 50% in Bitcoin, 25% in Ethereum, 25% in alts of your choice, right? And that would be a diversified portfolio. And he's like, he's just hodl. Don't put more money in that you can't lose. So if you say, look, I'm cool with losing $100 a month, $10 a month, $200 a month on whatever, like I'm okay just blowing that money, but I want to be more responsible. Instead of blowing it on like alcohol or snacks or video games, I'm gonna put it on cryptos. Do that, right? And it's just following that, keeping it simple, not overcomplicating things like I did this video, because it could have been just 2 minutes, but it turned out to be 11. So with that, I'm gonna end it. Hope you had a great day. Don't get too stressed out by all the news. Keep your head up. Look at the macro. Don't get too zoomed in on the micro, because that'll just serve as a distraction. So with that, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.